Hello, welcome to this new episode of Elevenses, the podcast about business aviation promoted by Private Jet Coach. My name is Martina Vincenzi, and I am the founder of the Academy Private Jet Coach. And today with us, we have again Alessia Cortesi. Welcome, Alessia, one more time.
Good afternoon. Always nice to be here with you.
Thank you. Yes, always very nice. Alessia, today we are going to talk about food trends in the luxury hospitality. So just a quick reminder, you work as a chef on private yacht and private residences. And I know you always try to keep yourself up to date of what is going on, what is happening out there in terms of the new trends of food. So, can you tell us about nutrition and food trends? Why are they so important in the luxury industry?
Well, I keep updated, and the chef who we are working with, they keep me updated. As suddenly, in the last couple of months, I had a request, and a chef asked me, "Are you able to provide whales food?" I said, "Whales food?" And I said, "Do you mean plankton?" "Yes."
I was about to ask, plankton?
Yeah, plankton. I said, "Oh, yeah." I said, "I'll check and see my seaweeds supplier, and I'll see what I can do." And yeah, from there also, because in the last 2 years, chefs, they ask for seaweeds, fresh and dry. Of course, fresh is a little bit problem because fresh, of course, the seaweeds is like the salad. It's really one day, 24-hour, 48-hour maximum. You can't really keep it. The other option is dry. And this is much easier. And why this type of superfood suddenly are very important? Because they're full of vitamins, full of mineral, full of iodine, and no calorie, no fat.
Ooh.
And what's the new trend? Of course, behind well-being, health, and all this stuff. Now, the new trend is the idea of longevity. Of course, I don't know, the next step is going to be immortality, but at the moment, we take care of the longevity.
Yeah, like 100 years to start with.
Yeah, let's say live 100 to 110, whatever. So now the people, of course, people who are living well, wealthy, they want to live as long as possible on this nice planet and, of course, enjoy their wealth. So now is the trend of longevity. And of course, longevity, you need to have nice habits, nice food, and everything. And so this superfood like seaweeds is very much in demand because you can add it to your salad, to your plate, and really you have no extra calorie, and you have this boost of vitamins, iodines, and flavor, because they really have a nice flavor. And now the next is this plankton. So we are really going into much all this, and of course is also something nice because it's sustainable for the ocean, because of course when you have lots of seaweeds are like trees and plants on land, so they transform the CO2, so they catch the CO2 in the atmosphere with the photosynthesis. So they do the same like
a tree.
Like a tree. And of course, because now we are all worried about this green, too much CO2, and aviation seems lots of CO2 put in the air. So growing seaweeds it's also very good for the environment. So that's another. So sustainable, all this eco-friendly food. So it's a superfood full of mineral, vitamins, no fat, no calories. Plus, it's very good for the environment. So
Just to make it clear, you're talking about dry seaweeds, like the one for sushi, for example.
like, look at that. I prepare some samples. So you have everything here. So I don't, if you can see. So
Yeah.
this is dulce, red seaweeds.
Okay.
This one is green, and this is ocean salad. And then we have also brown seaweeds like kombu, nori,
Oh yeah,
wakame.
yeah.
So there are different. Of course, nori is the most popular because we know from most popular in the Western world, because of course Asia is a completely another story.
Mhm.
So this is now the trend of this, because the idea of longevity is something that is occupying the mind of all these wealthy people. So that's why seaweeds, plankton. And I spoke to a friend, she's biologist, and she's working at the university, and they are doing some study to see if the next step is moss. So getting very deep in the forest, untouched forest, and see if we can eat some of this moss or some, because basically is a plant.
Yeah, yeah.
Is a plant.
Yeah,
So now they're studying in that direction. And I know a senior chef that is not chef on board anymore. She is from Finland, and of course, well, is not a region very famous for its culinary story, but she had a very brilliant idea because, of course, food from Finland is very exotic, even if it's not Asia, Africa, but for example, she said she can sell not beef tenderloin, but bear tenderloin.
Oh wow.
Allowed there are only 3-4 pieces per year because they can't kill,
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
of them. But of course, a bear has, this is the tenderloin for beef tenderloin, bear tenderloin. So you can
It's about 50 kilos.
satisfy more client. And of course, I remember when I met her, it's already a couple of years ago, she had already some spices, wood spices. So it's a mix of dry mushroom from the forest. So there is already something that goes into mouse eating or something like. And for example, she had, I remember, a honey from a part of the forest untouched where there are only 150 years old trees, and the bees just go there and they have their little house, everything is there. And so this honey is like a little pot like this, 150 pounds, or really, because it's, so this is what they are looking for: untouched produce, untouched, unspoiled environment, and of course for the purpose of longevity.
More than bio, basically.
more than bio, because they know that bio
Yeah.
already,
Bio,
it's already
not
in
really
business.
bio.
It's commercial bio.
Yeah.
Now they're pushing farther into the real anti, because they can afford, of course.
Yeah, of course. So Winnie the Pooh has to look
Yeah,
look
Winnie the
behind
Pooh.
himself now.
Yeah.
Well, so seaweeds, very interesting. And how do you use them exactly? What is a sample of a recipe? Do you use them dry? Do you use them as an ingredient for a recipe, like in the cooking or as a decoration?
Yeah, depends from the seaweeds. of course, before doing anything, I need to do education. I need to go and see the supplier, because I work just like that. We can't propose things that we haven't used, eat, because, it's a really demanding clientele. So we need to know really what. So in my last trip in France, the supplier just gave me everything available to taste. Of course, the best seaweeds in Europe are from Bretagne, the north of France.
Yeah, Brittany.
And because, of course, open ocean, so they have all this tide and flood, so perfect environment for seaweeds. And I remember that the approach to seaweeds is first smell, because we all think, oh, it smells fish. No, absolutely not. For example, this one, Dulce, the red one, has a smell like shells and crabs. So
Sweet.
And it's very sweet. You feel the scallops, so it's very good. This one, very good if you put it with scallops. And for example, this seaweed likes acidity. So if you have a salad and doesn't like cooking, so for example, for salad is perfect. Salad with vinegar, salad with lemon, because it has the acidity. You sprinkle on that and it becomes even more red because it reacts to acidity. So it makes a nice presentation and, of course, the taste. The other one, the green one, also is ocean salad, because it's a big leaf, like salad leaf, very thin. And also this can be sprinkled on salad dry. Of course, the dry are much easier to work with, the dry one, because the fresh, you need to know how to handle, and it's and some of them, they're so strong in iodine that we are not used, there will be too much. So they need to be a little bit processed, so the iodine drop. Yeah, iodine drop, and then you have a nice pleasant feeling and taste in your mouth, not really a medicine like no. And for example, kombu and wakame, the royal kombu and wakame, they're also suitable for cooking. So for example, you can add them in stew. Anything has moisture, sauce, you put it in, and they soften what you are cooking and they make it sweeter. So these two, wakame and royal kombu, you can use also for meat, because they don't have a very strong sea smell, fishy smell. They have more like a fermented preservation. So, and I remember when I was at the supplier in France and I was trying, oh, this looks like, remember me, Korean tea, I tasted this, remember pu'er tea. They said, you are a seaweed sommelier.
Oh, no way.
I said, you're a seaweed sommelier, because nobody had this approach, because it's very important in our job. Immediately you have to know where to, it's not only I have a royal kombu, fine, now you have to make a recipe, you have to pairing with the wine, pairing with tea, pairing with everything, and immediately in your mind, okay, this go with this. But of course, because they are only focused on the seaweed, they were thinking, oh, seaweed sommelier. I said, thank you. So you have a different type of thing. Of course, in Europe is the nori. For example, toasted nori is very nice with the roast beef, because toasted nori on the flame, really toasted on the flame, it gets this charcoal. And can you imagine with the beef? So it's seaweeds is not only for fish, seafoods, shell, because some of these seaweeds, they have strong minerality and this salinity, which is fine also for meat.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I did use seaweed for cooking, just at home for family, in the pasta.
Yeah.
And and in salads, but I think it was the maximum of my
But see, like, for
story.
example, you have some pasta with anchovies.
Exactly. That's exactly what I did.
Then it enhances the umami, the fishing, the saltiness. So I think they are very versatile ingredients that any chef should have. And of course, for the aviation galley, this little.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think, of course, you don't need the bag we get from the supplier, a kilo bag. Well, you think a kilo, but a kilo seafood, you have a bag like a suitcase because they're very light.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, it's a lot in volume. Yeah.
Yeah, but normally you buy in 100 gram, 200 grams, so it's huge. And I guess the easiest is when you use the dry, because you can keep it. You put in glass, you keep it, and you have to preserve it from humidity. That's the only big problem, because as soon as they get in touch with humidity, and that's why when they get in touch with salad, they absorb the water, and then it's very nice because you make different texture in the salad, because the seaweed get rehydrated and makes a very nice combination of texture, flavor, smell. So, and this is how also you create a magic moment in the plate of your guest, because you get all the different senses involved and magic items, because it's a little one, small one, and really you can pull out of your, it's your joker.
Yeah, definitely. But what about price? How much could you spend in buying 100 grams of?
For example, we sell what we have online. I think is like 36 euro. Is a metal jar like this, 100 gram. 100 gram. They're very nice quality, good quality. So it's between 100 and 120, depending what type of seaweed, because combo wakame, they are a little bit thicker, so they're heavier. The other one, they're light. So let's say 100 gram, around 30 euros.
And do you ship worldwide?
Ship worldwide for everybody. And of course, always on seaweeds, depending on quality. And here again, really, we can become a seaweed sommelier, because I found out that also can be fermented, also can be, so same like the tea experience, or cheese experience.
And do you think it could be used in cocktails? So for example, a sparkle of seaweeds on the cocktail?
Yes, I thought like summer things, or especially when you use anise and you want to give really the nice summer flavor, like a couple of flakes on the top. So as soon as you put your nose in the glass, you feel it a little bit, but it doesn't freeze. Yeah, it doesn't overwhelm the whole.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
the whole things. So
that's very nice, very very interesting. Definitely something to keep in mind for a special treat for the customers on a private.
And another thing I've seen, and I think this is a very big plus if you manage, for example, this umami flavor. Seaweeds, Japanese, Korean, people from Taiwan, Philippines, they love it. So when you have somebody from this nationality on board,
Yeah.
that would be definitely. For example, for Western, I would first put it on a little plate, give him to smell before putting, and then or just serve it a little plate aside, and
Like a
then they can do it on yourself, because we are not used to that. So you need to, because some people might want it, might not like it, but definitely when you have an Asian on board, absolutely, I think, because then again, you bring them back home with this flavor.
That's true.
You bring them back to childhood. Maybe some Asian now living somewhere else, so, and as soon as you move them to happy moment in life, childhood, or back home, or somebody is going back home, flying back home, and you give that, oh, you win him.
Oh,
or
yeah.
might be a European, or American, or a Western that you bring back to happy moment on holiday. Maybe tasted something in those country, and now adding this seaweeds, maybe remember holiday somewhere in the Pacific, and again, bring back happy moment in life. It's always a very big plus, I think, for a flight attendant, steward, chef, whatever.
Yeah, well, absolutely. You play with people's senses in order to create emotions, and it's
And
just
again, seaweeds, not so many people would expect it. So again, this unexpected experience, feeling, again, you create luxury, because luxury is everything what is going over, unexpected. That's create the feeling of luxury, being attended, being, taken
taken care
care.
of.
And this is what we are aiming when we are catering and taking care of all these people.
Yeah, absolutely. You remind me on my, the example that I normally bring up with my students when it comes to explain what does luxury mean to you. And I have this story that probably is now worldwide known, but anyway, that is really like the ultimate, cloud nine of luxury for me. And I normally start with a little bit of an introduction saying that I am a left-handed, so I belong to the 10% of the population in the entire planet, where my left hand is absolutely primary compared to the right hand. And because of that, my life is absolutely miserable, because this world is not built for me, to make me feel comfortable, because the majority is right-handed, so everything is right-handed. If you think about the handle of the door, for example, is for the right hand and not for the left, and scissors and the mouse of the computer, whatever. So I try to treat myself once a year with an experience in a starred restaurant, because it's a magical learning experience. Is fantastic. And once I went there, and we were attending, there were the four of us, and we went for a tasting menu. So the chef was coming out with 7 courses. And they had this minimal approach in the table setup. So they were giving us the cutlery that we were supposed to use to eat in the course, and then remove them, and then bring the new one before the next one. So the chef came out with his signature dish, which was like a little salted mascarpone with caviar on top, that you were supposed to eat with the spoon. And of course, the spoon was on the right-hand side. So I just crossed all the way to take the spoon and eat. And then they cleared up, and then the waiter came next to me. He bent down on his knees, and he told me, "Madame, may I disturb you for a moment?" And I said, "Yes, please." "Well, I noticed that you are a left-handed. Is that okay for you if I set up the table in a more comfortable way for the next course?" I felt like $1 million.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Again, tell me again. I'm gonna record you and display it in loop. I want to be seen, and you notice the smallest detail of me. I
Exactly.
loved it.
Exactly. And these are these little flakes that
Exactly.
can make a very big difference. And in a few flakes on a salad, or there are many other combinations that you can use on starters, on cheese, and of course, for example, dulce likes acidity. So all the fresh cheese, like goat cheese and all the fresh cheese, you can use as a starter, as an appetizer, as anything. A couple of flake of that. It makes feel, it feel, and also maybe nobody will expect this, cheese, seaweeds, but it goes, and then once you put it in your mouth, you feel it goes really well together. So really, these little flakes, little details, this is what catch and move the client and let him feel fantastic. And so even if you have a turbulence on board, won't even notice because you put algs, spices, whatever.
And which one would you pair with the seaweeds?
For example, like uh, all the seaweeds, of course, for this high content of iodine, they're very umami,
Mhm.
salty and umami. But sweetness goes with umami, and sour goes with umami. For example, sweetness, the umami of the seaweeds enhance the sweetness of other ingredients. And for example, sour ingredients cut through the umami. So if somebody doesn't like very strong umami flavor, this fishy flavor, then if you had a drop, like, as I said, lemon, vinegar, something, cut through, and then of course it cuts immediately the umami and it gets everything more balanced. For example, the goat cheese with the dulce and yuzu sesame seed. It's very like you do a little bowl of cheese or soft cheese, and then you roll it in the sesame seed and you roll it in the seaweeds. You put it in your mouth like
So
chocolate,
it's
like
a range
yeah,
of flavors.
flavors. And of course, if you pair with the right wine, it will go even better.
Even
That because basically we have to think these people, they're not really hungry because they want to eat or overeat. They want the experience.
yeah,
And that's
yeah.
why we have to create around each dish, around each ingredient, a little bit of magic. For example, very simple. Watermelon, you put the watermelon like this, but watermelon, think about the watermelon as a starter or an appetizer with feta.
I was about to say with feta.
Feta has a umami flavor, and this is very sweet. And then again, put a little bit, especially these dry flakes. And of course, the dry flakes immediately will absorb the humidity of it. And then the texture, because the watermelon has one texture, feta has another texture,
Mhm.
seaweeds a third, more crunchy texture. So completely, you're going to change a very simple plate to something really the roast beef. Who ever thought to put roasted nori flake on a roast beef? But you need to try because it gives this charcoal flavor, and of course meat again with this charcoal goes very well, and people like it. Of course, I'm sure that you will have some skeptic people at the beginning, but again, that's why seaweeds really starts from your smell. First, you have to smell it, see if you are, and understand then the difference between all the seaweeds, because we have it tastes seaweeds. No, it's not. It tastes seaweeds. There are different seaweeds, and then of course slowly, of course at the beginning small quantity. There is no big limit. They said 7-10 grams a day is fine, but of course in Asia they go well over this quantity. And of course fresh seaweeds, you need a good chef to handle this, because you need to know how to boil it, how to keep it, how to preserve it. So really when they're fresh you need high skill competent. But this dry can be your joker in your sleeve, even if you're not a master chef or a Michelin star chef, because little things, little detail, and it really change the volume, the dimension of the plate, because you might have a plate really boring, and then you had a sprinkle of flakes of seaweed, and then a little bit of spices, and immediately change, or herbs or micro herbs, what we talk already. So very small things that makes the difference.
Very true, very true. And in our industry, I think it's really the rule number one.
Yeah, it's the most important thing. Yeah.
And it is also very true that the customers, we often say that the customers on a private yacht, they normally reach the yacht with a private jet. So it's just the same people.
Yeah.
And the trend for this industry has been now ongoing for many years. That is about wellness. So it's not about the heavy food that make you feel sleepy or difficult to digest or things like that. They are more conscious and more focusing on actually feeling well and having something that nourishes the body with whatever is needed, like vitamins, minerals, as you mentioned.
And I think the next step, if we carry on with this longevity idea, I think the next step will come, apart immortality, will be the food therapy connected with the traditional Chinese medicine or Ayurveda. This is what is coming again, because anything else element foods you put in your body, then it has consequences on different organs of water, fire, wood, metal, and all this concept of this Asian medicine. So I think the next step will go. So that's why I need to be always updated, educated on anything, because the majority of the chef, they place an order, they receive a request, but they have a classic education.
Okay.
So they might be the best chef in the world, but the classic education focus on the taste, focus on the decoration, aesthetic, which is very good. But now, slowly, I think in the next 5 to 10 years, there will be the next skill required with this food therapy and other skills.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. So looking forward to hear.
We will have more podcasts.
You talking about planktons and
moss.
Yeah, exactly, and moss. Anyway, very, very interesting. Thank you, Alessia, as always, for your insight about luxury hospitality and culinary trends, as we did today. Very interesting. And I would like to mention to all the audience out there about the website of yours, where they can eventually purchase this item. So I will add that at this podcast. And so again, thank you very much, Alessia. And that's all for today. So ciao for now, and baci baci.
Ciao.